workout today, shoulders, abs, and triceps. Triceps, so this is all body weight training. Apart from I might use a band or two, probably lateral raise. The triceps, again, all body weight, which should be quite nice. I'll be able to do my, provided that door doesn't open on me, handstands against the door, pike press, lateral raise. That'll probably be shoulders done, because it's 8 sets of handstands, so it's 4 sets of wall walks, which I will do against the wall, and then it's 4 sets of static holds, and then 4 sets of pike press, and then 3 sets of lateral raise. It's quite, because it's body weight training, it's quite voluminous, and my muscles, again, I've been training them for multiple years now, so I need quite a lot, not loads, not massive, like you see some people shoulder days, and it is just stupidly intense and huge and really heavy, and I'm not at that stage yet. You want to do as little training as you physically can and make the most improvements while you have room to grow. So like I'm only doing, in theory, 3 movements even though it's 4 exercises, it's 3 movements, because the 2 types of handstands, it's all handstand based, so it'll be very similar muscles being used and being worked. Yeah, and then obviously I can add more. I can quite very easily add a military press to this at the beginning or at the end. So just adding in more, that's another 4 sets. Or you can change the intensity. You can drop some sets and add more exercise, or you can add more sets. So yeah. But primarily it's all in the warm-up, which I have now just gotten really cold from sitting in here for so long. So I'm going to have to get warmed up again, which won't take very long. I might just go back outside and start sweating. Not that that's not the same kind of warming up. I am joking. You need to get the blood pumping through the body. So I will do some skipping quickly for 10 minutes, warm up. And then, yeah, prime the areas you're working. So you need a full body warm-up, obviously, to get the blood pumping throughout the body, and then you need to warm up the specific areas that you are using, so that the blood is primarily in those particular areas and you're able to put the maximum amount of effort in. Also, you want to be at least an hour after eating any food, so that your stomach is not digesting and the blood can be in the correct areas. Okay, abs is basically a giant set, so I can't remember what they're called. Hands above your head, your lead on your back, hands above your head, feet out. V crunches, that's it, V crunches. Then bicycle maneuver, and then they're like side plank raise almost. So you're in a side plank motion and you're moving your legs and your arms, and it just creates more stability in the core. And then we are on our hands and knees for mountain climbers, rotational mountain climbers, and then it's a max plank hold, which usually about 45 seconds or a minute. If I'm really, really up for it that day, then I can sometimes go for a minute and a half. And then a good 3 or 4 minutes rest between sets, and I do 3 of those sets, because there's no rest in between exercises. So it's go, 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 and you do 10 of everything. This primarily is to do 20 repetitions of each movement per set. So 20 V crunch, 20 bicycle maneuvers either side, 20, 20, 20, obviously. I'm nowhere near at that stage yet. That's ideal, that's perfect. I'm at 10, so I'm about half that. And then, but you have to think you're doing it without breaks. So this isn't necessarily the best way of training abs, because your abdominals, most people think the abdominals are a completely different muscle, like different kind of muscle. I've heard a lot of people say you need to train abdominals every day, you need to hit them with maximum intensity. Some people never train abs. Your abdominal wall, all your abs, everything is a normal muscle. It grows exactly the same as a bicep and tricep. So it needs the same kind of stimulation. The problem I've found, and this other problem, obviously, with me being completely bodyweight training, there's no pull-up bar here, so it's very hard. The training session that I normally do is toes to bar, L-sit hold, and side like V kind of side lateral raise, or side toes to bar. So all my body weight will go one side, then the other side. And that more works the rotational. That's usually my workout, and I do it all off a pull-up bar. Obviously I can't do that, and I haven't been able to do that for quite a while. So this is sort of the next best thing. The only other thing I could recommend is that you do the full 20 and you have a minute's rest in between each movement. So 20 V-sit holds, and you really focus on the time under tension, minute rest, then bicycle maneuver, minute rest, then blah, blah, blah. So there, and then you have a good couple of minutes rest in between each set. So it depends really what stage your fitness is at, what stage everything else is at. Me personally, I like to do it with minimal rest because I feel a massive burn, and I really, really like that burn, and I really struggle to get it otherwise. I don't know, it's just a personal preference. It's you have to think like life is all a personal preference, and that's just how I like to train. It's how I like to do it. I know that it's not the most efficient way of training, but then again, like I say, it's all a marathon, it's all a sprint. I will be in a gym properly, and I'll be able to do proper abs, and that'll be really nice. Because what I like doing in a gym, if I'm in a proper actual gym, is the reverse crunches with a weight. I really, really like those. And then normal crunches with a weight as well. And then L-sit hold and toaster bar. So, you know, my workouts change dramatically depending on where I am. Actually, I say dramatically. They don't change dramatically. They change actually rather small, thinking about it. It's the only abs I train dramatically. No matter where I go, I train abs so differently because I'm able to use different machines and different equipment, and I like that. I like machines and equipment. Because I've been training bodyweight training for years now. And as much I love training, I'll never stop training, but it gets boring. It really, really does get boring. So when you can introduce new stimulus, I think that's fantastic, and why not? You know, but my core movements I always keep the same. So like my chest, there's always a pressing movement in there, whether it's a planche press or a giant press up superset or a bench press, always. And then I always do some kind of dips. I like straight bar dips because they're harder, and I like, if you could make it harder, I like to make it as hard as possible, because then you're adding the most stimulus to that muscle, and it will grow as best it can because it's not used to doing that. If you always do normal dips and you come to try and do straight bar dips, it's so hard. It's so much harder than you think it would be. Also as well, I'm training for very specific things. Like I want to be able to do muscle ups, which I'm almost able to do. I want to be able to do full planche push-ups, handstand push-ups, all of that. So I have specific goals in mind with my training, and that's why I pick the exercise that I do in order to further those goals in particular, because that's my specific goal. Everybody's got a different specific goal. I've got friends who just want to be huge, and in which case they don't train anywhere like me. And when I do train with them, they almost struggle to keep up with me because I train at such a low rep range with such high weight and such time under tension. But they don't. They're in the 10 to 12 rep range, and yes, the time under tension is there, but not quite as much. They only really focus on the time and attention on the last two sets. They'll have 2 or 3 or 4 warm-up sets, and then they'll just go really hard for those last 2 sets, which is perfect. It is the way to do it. You know, and I've trained like that for a long time, so I can do that. You know, obviously I'm nowhere near as big as them, and not necessarily as strong as they are in some areas, but then I'm stronger than them in some areas, and I don't look anywhere near as big as they do. But that's because I train for strength and they train for hypertrophy, so they want big muscles. They want to look like they go to the gym. I've never really been fussed, particularly, provided I am healthy and I like how I look, then I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? You know, I like being really lean and having abs and, you know, not being massive. I don't want to walk sideways through doors and stuff. Like, yeah, it's cool, but that's it. Like, look at you, you're big, okay, cool, move on. Whereas I want to be able, like, more calisthenics based, so it's real skill. It's, you know, I'm not saying bodybuilders don't have skill, because they do, but it's nowhere near as much skill as a calisthenics professional. If you look at a bodybuilder versus a calisthenic trainer or competition person, then they are mega strong, and they're tiny as well. And this is the other thing with like weightlifting. I've always wanted to do proper Olympic weightlifting, and I would like to do that again in the future, like cleans, press, snatch. So, and again, you look at those, they're 160-pound people, you know, they're minuscule, but they'll easily put 200 or 300 kilos above their head without thinking about it. So that's always been my preference: be skinny but stupidly strong. You like, for example, you'd be in a room with people, and like some normal people, some bodybuilders, some people who don't train at all, and they would look at the bodybuilders and go, oh my god, you go to the gym. Look at me and think, no, you don't go to the gym because you're not as big as those. But then I'll get down and do a handstand, whereas they couldn't. You know, I'll go from an L-sit to a handstand push-up. So it's very different things, and that's also something I'm trying to train for as well, being able to go from an L-sit to a handstand push-up, which is a lot harder than you think it is. So all very specific goals, all tailored for me and what I want to gain in life. But yeah, and that's obviously what I'll do for you. You join the team, and it'll all be specific to you and what you want to do and how you want to do it. I hate these personal trainers, specifically YouTube personal trainers as well, who do the most generic training plans. I've bought them. I'm not going to name who I've bought them off of, but and they weren't cheap. They're more expensive than what I offer. And they didn't give me anywhere near as much information as I give. And I was bitterly disappointed. I bought 2 different training programs off of my 2 favorite YouTubers, and I cancelled it immediately. I was so upset because you could tell immediately. You look at the training program and it's generic. You know, they've taken your goals into consideration, and they've put your goals at the top to make it look like it's customized, but it's not at all. It's a standard training program, and it's just upsetting. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not taking that away from them. They were good training programs, but they were generic, and they were not necessarily boring, but I mean, it looked boring. It looked really, 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 really boring. You know, and it's got to be fun. It's got to be interesting. You know, they didn't ask preference on what I like to do and different things, and I just found it was a bit upsetting. You know, it's not that I didn't get that very personal training that I wanted. Like, when I go to a trainer, I want personalized training. I want them to care about me, and what actually I'm doing, you know, rather than not. So yeah, there's so many training programs out there. There's so many different people, but you have to just think about what you want in life, you know. And that's the other wonderful thing about Mind and Body, is that it's not just about fitness. I'm not here just to try and help you with your fitness. Like I've said many a time in the past, it's all a journey, physically and mentally. And you know, here at Mind and Body, we have so many resources to be able to dish out and help people fundamentally, internationally, across the world. And that's really what I'm trying to go for. International, I can't think of the word, international sort of like opening of people's eyes in terms of everything. And they are very open over here. I've seen loads of like counselors, trauma therapists and stuff, so I can tell they're really sort of switched on out here, which is amazing. But I just want everybody else to be switched on, because I've spoken to so many people and they know so little about mental health and how it can affect the body physically. So, you know, it's going to be amazing just to help people and see what happens sort of in life. And yeah, so obviously if you need any help of any description, please do not hesitate to get in contact and we can work something out for you. But yeah, I'm excited. I just need to get on with it, really. I said ages ago, I've been procrastinating, sitting here talking to you. I'm still sat here talking to you, drinking my coffee. So, when we come to do bodyweight training, more specifically when we get into like handstands, you use your wrists a lot. You need to make sure you warm up your wrists and your forearms. Something that I've never really done before. It's something you really, really need to do. Something I've really only started doing sort of this year, into end of last year, where you need to really lubricate these joints, because you use them so much more than you think you do. And then once they start hurting, it's hard to get them stop hurting. You want to try and avoid strapping up all the time, as little as possible. I have all kinds of problems all over my body. This left elbow is really starting to blow up recently for some reason. So, but only when I do very specific movements with it. So I strap this up, and like I say, got my knee things as well. Strap my knees up when I need to, but really trying to avoid strapping
if you don't have to. Like if you aren't particularly in pain and you don't need to strap up, then don't think it makes you look cool or makes you lift more weight, because it actually doesn't. Like I know obviously you're going to get to a certain point where you're going to need a belt, but you're talking like you're deadlifting 300 kilos. You know, you should have a strong enough core to support whatever movement you want to do, particularly, especially at a young age, especially when you're year 1, year 2 training. Don't use belts, because then you think you're using it properly, but actually your core was never strong enough to begin with. So if you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt yourself 10 times more than you think you're going to, because the belt will help, but something will go snap. Something will snap at some point, and you have to be careful of that. So recommend not using belts and straps and different things. The only thing, obviously, these grips. Now I actually do use these quite a lot, because all it actually simply does is help you hold on to things. So I get obviously being out here, I get really sweaty and I can't physically hold on to bars. So that's why I have these, so I can hold on to things properly. When I'm dangling off, you know, bars and stuff, you know, my grip goes, my muscles are not fatigued, but my grip goes. So they just help facilitate getting the muscles worked properly. Yeah. First training session, I'm showing you. Never thought I'd do it.
Why do my shoulders always click? Why do they always hurt? I don't understand why, you know. Warm up, it's all in the warm up. Most people don't warm up your rotator cuff muscles, which is what I've just done with that band. Specifically those movements and those movements. You're working your rotator cuff muscles, and they're all those tiny, tiny little muscles inside the shoulders that are specifically functional for those. Now, the problem is obviously your big
side, rear and front delts are big muscles, and so they like to take over if you're not fully engaged properly. And so like, I have a big click here because I've got a trapped, I believe they said it was a trapped nerve, and it just clicks. It's just the way it goes over the bone. So I know that that's not necessarily a problem. It does hurt sometimes, not if I've warmed up properly. So I do lots of rotational arms. That's a good one. Any kind of really fast flowing movement to get blood pumped into those areas specifically, you know, reduces the risk of injury, make sure they're all nice and warmed and lubricated and prepared for the training session. You know, it's so easy to snap because your shoulders are so mobile. It's one of the most dangerous joints in the body. Your shoulders and your hips, ball and joint sockets, so they're extremely prone to injury. This is why you've got to spend extra time warming them up. Right now I'm flapping my arms like a So, as I'm inside, as I'm inside, I just need to be careful. I fall over a lot when I do my handstands. I cannot fall over in it because I'll be falling on the worktop or the table or the floor, and it's gonna hurt. So, just gonna take it really, really steady. There's 2 reps, a couple of seconds, 2 reps, rest. Just, you know, get my sets done safely, carefully. The last thing I wanna do is go and hurt myself or damage something. You know, if I'm in a proper gym, it doesn't matter. There's there actual walls, there's mats you can put down, you can just go for gold. The other thing, when I actually go and do normal press handstands in a minute, again, just take extra special care. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm gonna go force myself to do, really push myself for handstands, fall over, really hurt myself in a foreign country. It's just not worth it. It's just not, even if you're in your own country, it's not worth it. You know, if you're not in the correct area to do the right things, then, you know, make the best out of a bad situation. It's a bad situation. I don't have a gym. You know, I've got very minimal equipment with me and very limited space. So this is possibly one of the worst conditions to train in, and it's stonkingly hot. So just take it easy. Take it slow, take it steady. Right, did I move you up, or are you still good? You're still good. Okay. So when we come and do training, there's rest times. Now, really rest times is, I do a 3-to-1 ratio. Now this is quite hard to work out sometimes. So if a set takes you 1 minute, 3 minutes rest. Now there is also the option of 1 to 5. You shouldn't go over 1 to 5. So 1 minute of training, 5 minutes of rest. Fully depends on what kind of training style you're going for. For example, powerlifters they'll build up to their bench press, wallop, 1 movement, that's it, they have 5 minutes rest. Because they need all that power again to do the 1 repetition. Whereas bodybuilders, again, they probably work off the 1 to 3 ratio. So they'll do a set for a minute, really good long time on attention, then only 3 minutes rest to allow the lactate to leave their muscles and for them to rebuild the energies again to go again. I work sort of in the middle of that. I have 3 to 5 minutes rest between sets, generally speaking, because I work at such a low rep range. I'm only going for between 6 and 8 repetitions, or like with these, I'm only going with 4 repetitions of these, and then I'll have max hold on the handstand. And then when I come to do pike press, I'll ramp the reps up just a little bit. I'll be going for more 8, the higher range, rather at the moment I'm in the lower range, and I'll be going to the higher range of my rep range. My rep range is 4 to 6. It's all in the warm-up, guys. It's all in the warm-up. If you get really warmed up properly, get the muscles primed, then you don't need to hit them quite as hard. Remember, it's as long as you're hitting them harder than you did last time. That's all that matters. You're making progress training session to training session. It's very hard to track my progress because my repetitions aren't going up and up and up because the movement's so hard. So like for me, to know how I'm getting better at these, it's how easy and how close I get to that wall with my hands, because you are supposed to have your hands right up against the bottom of the wall and you're completely straight. I'm not quite at that stage yet because not everything's strong enough. I feel like I'd tip over, which I have done before. I did that at home last time I trained, and I can't do that here because I can't lay out long enough. I'll really hurt myself. So just taking everything into consideration, just be careful, you know. Here for a long time, I don't want to go and hurt. I've already hurt myself enough. I'm not hurting myself anymore, just so I can get a training session in. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, make sure you have decent rest between sets to allow the muscles to do properly. You know, all this old style of 1 minute rest and you just go ham, ham, ham. It works. Obviously, it works because people have done it for years, but it's not the most efficient way of training. Remember, we want to be in the gym for as little time as possible. Yeah, get in, get it done, get out, make the gains. You don't need to be in the gym for hours on end. You just don't. Not unless obviously you're an Olympic athlete or you're an athlete of some description. I mean, obviously you take Eddie Hall for example. He was in the training for like 6 hours a day, or something silly. I watched a documentary. That might be wrong, 6 hours, but I watched a documentary. And he would train stupid. Like he would train when he had a job. He'd train before work, go to work, and train after work. It's nuts. I've done the same. All depends how dedicated you are. I have spent 3 or 4 hours in the gym before, but you don't need to. That was when I sort of didn't know what I was doing. You know, make sure you get the time and attention. You only need to really hit 1 or 2. Provided, like I say, you warm up, have 2 or 3 sets of warm up, hit that last 2 sets, really, really, really good time and attention, really focus on the mind-muscle connection, and really get that done. Right, need to get on. I did show you at the very beginning of my cut, my very awful physique, and so this is an update of, again, very awful physique. So that, my official start to the diet was completely untracked because I was at home for such a long period of time with my family and friends. We were going out loads and I was, just enjoying life. And I knew that when I got out here, I'd have to penny pinch, and that's really when the diet would start. So, however, obviously, I completely forgot that I won't have any weighing scales of any description. So I can't really track what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna have to just live this month out, eat as little food as I physically can while still feeling tip top, if that makes sense. So intuitive eating, that's what intuitive eating is. You basically need to you need to know food, you need to know yourself, and you need to not take the piss, okay? So it's so simple, intuitive eating. You wait until you're hungry and then you eat. Yeah, but you don't wait for a little, you don't go and, my top recommendation is don't snack with intuitive eating. Just don't have a little thing, unless you're physically feel like you're gonna die. So, but then if you want a snack, don't have a brownie or a chocolate or biscuit or whatever it is. Don't have something like that because it will spike your insulin level and it will make you want more sugar, not necessarily more food. So have something like a banana. It's still got natural sugars in, so it's still sweet, but it won't spike your insulin like a cookie. Or an apple, something good, fibrous food. That's what you need if you're gonna have a snack of any description. Or an appetite suppressor. If you feel hungry but you want to save yourself, have an appetite suppressor. So can of 0-calorie Coke, 0-calorie lemonade, Monsters, things like that. Not normal Monsters, obviously. Always check the ingredients and the calories before you go and assume something's healthy, like innocent smoothies back in the UK. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, I'll get a smoothie, it's really healthy, and they're the big ones are nearly 1,000 calories. It's insane, and there's very little fiber. Yes, they're full of nutrients and they're really good for you, but they're also rammed full of sugar and rammed full of unnecessary calories. So yeah, I'm starting to get quite hungry now. I'm only sort of halfway through my session, so. But that's good, that's good. I'm gonna sit down and have a proper nice meal after this. Don't know what though. Like I said, I wanna go to 7-Eleven and see if there's any I don't know. Really, really, really don't know. I suppose I could make French toast. I've got everything here to make French toast. Oh no, I've got no cinnamon and no sugar, so no I don't. Eggy bread, mate, and it's not the same. But yeah, I'm gonna have bacon and egg sandwich, I think, after this, for sure. I need to go and get some washing up liquid. So many things I need to do. But yeah, just to finish, that's basically it. I'm just gonna have to just take it really simple and really slow, and you just have to know your food. You have to eat as little as humanly possible by still making sure you are well energized, getting your training sessions in, making progress with your life, and don't suffer unnecessarily. There's no point suffering unnecessarily just because you want a six-pack or whatever. If you force yourself to suffer unnecessarily, the likelihood you'll do more damage than good. Like I keep saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take you years, it's not going to take you months to get your dream physique. We're talking about dream physiques here, guys. Like my dream physique is 200 pounds ripped, calisthenics, proper planche, everything. That's my end goal, and I know realistically it's going to take me 10 years to get there. I have little goals on the way there. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to do freestanding handstands. That's little. I'm almost there with that one. Being able to do proper planche push-ups completely elevated off the ground. I'm so very close to being there. I can now bodyweight row on a bar So I'm, little progress and monitored throughout time. But yes. Something else that specifically comes with those kinds of movements, holding movements, especially in a very particular scary way like that, where you could fall over and really hurt yourself, you need to stop in time. You can force yourself to do too much, and if you do that, you're only going to go and hurt yourself. I've done it. You push yourself and you push yourself, you think, no, I've got one last rep in there, I've got this, I've got that. If you're by yourself, don't bother. The risk of injury is so high, there's just no point. If you have a spotter, if you have a friend, if you've got help, it's different, obviously. But, don't hurt yourselves. The main reason I keep saying not to hurt yourselves is not the longevity of your body necessarily, because your body is very good at repairing itself. It's for the longevity of your mental state in fitness. Because if you hurt yourself, especially on a regular basis, it's very disheartening. It's extremely disheartening, and you don't want to continue to work out because you feel like you're going to hurt yourself again. But this is what I'm trying to change people's opinions on, is the whole fitness side of life. Like, fitness is so fun and enjoyable. You don't need to kill yourself in the gym in order to enjoy fitness. It's everybody's personal preference. Like, I hate running. Thankfully, I'm not allowed to run on doctor's orders, but I hate run, always have done. So I never understand people who go out for a run, especially if you don't want to go for a run. Like, especially back home, you see people running around and they're in all their Lycra and they hate it. They've got a face of crap on them, and they're running around, they're panting, they get home and they're like, I'm never doing that again, and then go out next week. What is the point? Would you please ask me, please tell me, what is the point? Again, okay, right, going back to my family, my uncle is fantastic at this. So in England, there's Weight Watchers and different things to help with people's weight. And it's like a big community thing. You go to like a community hall and you're all there. You get weighed in, and provided you weigh in at within a certain limit, then you get points. I don't know exactly how it works, but you get rewards based, and you become member of the month and different things like that. Obviously, a big community side of that helps everybody lose weight. Now, my uncle, in his genius idea, would go to Fat Club, weigh in, having lost weight, maybe, and then he'd go straight to the pub, have a burger and pints. Right, please, I hope, if you've been following my videos, you know the bad side of that, okay? And that mentally is making him more aimed towards wanting that food and drink. What I mean by this specifically is that he would work all week, he'd be working toward his goal of going to the pub after Fat Club. Now, his goal was obviously to lose weight. So he'd suffer. In my personal opinion, he would suffer. I believe I spoke to him about this as well when he was doing it. I know he's not doing it anymore. And he'd suffer all week, he'd eat salads, he'd eat crap he would not want to eat, specifically so that he can go balls to the wall on pub night and still lose weight. Now, that's his personal preference. If you guys want to do that, cool, fair enough. That's not how I would recommend doing it, because you're suffering 90% of your life. And on top of that, it wasn't long term, because he's now not doing it anymore, right? Because the foods weren't enjoyable. He was, he couldn't go to the pub as much as he wanted. He couldn't drink as much as he wanted. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand that you need to have sacrifices in life. Yes, I agree, drinking alcohol on a daily basis is not good. And drinking pints and wine and high calorie things, also not the best choice. But like I keep saying, sustainable long-term foods that you will eat for the rest of your life, rather than going on a fad diet for a couple of months, losing loads of weight, rebounding and bouncing back to it and being double the weight you were when you first started. Okay? So my auntie's annoyingly just started another club like this. Now, I understand why she's doing the club, because it's a community thing, but she didn't come to me for advice, which upset me. I'm going to be honest, that did upset me. She didn't come to me and they'd be like, Jay, you train me, you know what you're doing. No, she went to a club. I understand, because I'm not a community, I'm a person. Even though Mind and Body is a franchise and is going to be a company, it's very limited staff members at the time, so it's very limiting in staff members at this time. So it is only There's only 2 PTs, there's 1 counsellor, so it's not massive, but it's getting there. It is the first year of the business, and first year of taking international clients, all sorts. So first time for everything, and we're all learning. We're on our feet. We don't know what we're doing. Anyway, back to my auntie. So she go to this club, and I hope it works for her this time, because every year, sort of once or twice a year, she goes to one of these clubs and she really likes it in the beginning. Oh, I love this, I love that. And then a couple of months down the line, or a couple of weeks down the line, it's, oh, I've left because of this, because of that. And it's like, because it's not long term, it's not enjoyable foods that you want to eat, it's not personalized. Fitness is personal, and enjoyment in life is a personal gain.